college level. But one of my greatest thrills in life was being a coach, and I believed in the team theme. You know what that is. Some of you have been in my working groups before where we emphasized the team theme. And the team theme came through really big in this last year. I just want to thank, first of all, members of the team here that convened today, all of us here, Los Angeles County Education Foundation, the LA County Office of Education itself, LA County School Trustees Association, as you've heard, and Art Delgado, my good friend, Art Delgado, leader of Los Angeles County Schools. Thank you, Lieutenant Delgado. It's valiant work, and the team theme, you know how I do it. I spell T-E-A-M. Together, everyone accomplishes more. And that's the team of dreams, the dream team that came forward and fought so hard to work with voters to put a spotlight on the fantastic, marvelous things going on in our schools. Like we saw in the video, like we saw with those students. Wasn't that marvelous? So we have some more arts and reading and drawing in our schools, and more about kind of link learning and technical skills development and self-confidence building that goes with it. And so the team theme worked so well. Think about where we were a year ago. I see Ophelia here, the mayor from CALSA, our president leader. All of us, whether it was ACT, CALSA, every single school board member here, worried for the future in terms of what was going to happen. We're the voters of California to believe us, believe in us, believe in our kids, in the dreams of our kids. And that's what I call it, you're the dream team, because I want to thank you. You work day in and day out valiantly for the dreams of our kids, for the dreams of our students, and the dreams of their parents, for their children. And that's where we are today because of the hard work and because of pulling together, TEAM together, everyone accomplishes more. There is renewed hope. There's a keen focus now on moving forward in smarter, stronger ways than ever before. And instead of having a speech that starts off, we're in a fiscal emergency, we are still in some parts of California in some dire financial straits. We have some districts that are still in very serious trouble and have some big budget balancing to do. But overall, think where we were a year ago and think where we are now. November 30th, we had the people, in November last year, we had the people believe in us and say yes on Prop 30. Now, we can still celebrate that. Are you happy about Prop 30? Let's hear it. We do it together. Does $7 billion more a year help? Yes. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. Again, there's still some districts struggling. But overall, we've been able to stop the avalanche of pink slips and the chaos of the bumping and the chaos of the morale being put down as budgets were cut. And then along with that, I have to point out it was a great measure of success that we passed Prop 39, which was $1 billion for helping put smart energy efficiency measures into our schools to construct energy savings that will then yield more money for our kids in the classroom, more money to buy the kind of technology you just saw here. And then we had some marvelous results of teamwork right here. Centinela District teaming up with Lenox, Weisberg, Hawthorne, Lawndale. I was talking to Hugo Rojas and Marissa Molina and Ron Hacker about how you did that, what was the magic? But it was trusting each other, and it was saying, you know, together we're stronger. We can work together and accomplish more by doing what we did together. I don't know that it was Hugo's, Rojas's black belt in whatever form of martial arts that was that convinced the voters. But 70%, that was pretty good, right? Let's hear it for the team of 5. And then I had the pleasure of walking door to door in Inglewood. I see Arnold Butler here, one of the members of the school board. We worked really hard, and even with some of the challenges in Inglewood, the public voted by 87%, the highest in the state, measured to 87%, to believe in their kids, to believe in their kids' future. And so I think these are moments we should relish and appreciate. We had a financial crisis, but we also had a crisis of confidence. And while the public had the confidence to say yes and tax themselves and invest, we have a way to go to still keep that faith and keep that confidence going. By the way, I want to just have you raise your hand if you're part of a school board or construction company to help make it happen in terms of building the new schools. The Centinela District will have over half of its school buildings brand new and modernized within another 2 years of construction.
Wow.
They also passed 2 bond measures, one in 2008 and one in 2010. Up and down the state of California, as I traveled fighting for promoting Prop 30 and 39, I saw local measures. You know, there were 106 of them. 87% of those local measures passed. We had 89 measures passed, and that totaled $14 billion of taxation, of investment, where voters said, tax me, because I believe if we put that money into our schools, it'll be well spent. Raise your hand if you're part of a team that did that in the district, that put a ballot measure on the ballot.
Means half that was
Whether it's a
LAUSD.
partial tax or a bond measure. Thank you for your leadership.
7 bill, it's half of 14, isn't it? Think about it.
So
We got
morale is up
27 billion.
overall. Pink slips are down, mostly across the state, not everywhere, but mostly. And this
Not when you're
year,
building
we need
2 or 3
to focus
times
on
the
meeting
cost of construction.
promises that were made to the voters as they passed Prop 30, about rebuilding our schools, improving instruction, improving student performance, boosting the graduation rates of students, and ensuring they are ready for careers in college, really ready for the world beyond high school. And demonstrating the power of this investment to California, spotlighting all the good things that are going on. I'm pleased to say that Governor Brown has kept his promise in making school funding his top priority in the budget, including an historic debate that we all need to engage in and figure out the pathway to the answer, an historic debate about changing how schools are funded. So I welcome his goal of a school funding system that's more focused, more transparent, more fair, and more educator-driven. One of the first steps we need to take is paying down the wall of debt that our schools face, starting with tackling the deferrals and our deficit factor for all of our schools. We lost about $20 billion during these last 5 terrible years of budgeting. And so we're pleased to see the governor put $1.8 billion for the deferrals, so it gives you some additional money back to stop cutting and dismantling programs and start building and rebuilding programs. And we do need, don't we need some additional tools for our schools? I applaud the vision of SCA 3, which makes it easier for voters to pass parcel taxes. I mean, it was done here by the coalition of 5 districts at 70%, but a lot of districts tried and they got 66%, 65, 63%. But in a democracy, shouldn't it be closer to 50% majority? So that measure that's going to be coming forward, which I hope will get onto the ballot for Californians, for us to fight for in 2014, would have 55% be the threshold for parcel taxes, as well as it is now for local bond measure.
No way.
You like that idea? We need to do that. I think we need to do that. I call it another tool in the toolbox. Since the 55%, by the way, went in for school bonds, 85% of the measures have been put before the voters in the state of California have been passed. Totally, since 1998, that's $79 billion. I authored state legislation when I was in the Senate and the Assembly, working on the state side of it so that we could have a matching program, 50-50 for new construction, 60-40 for what we called then modernization, which will probably be called renovation or rehabilitation. But we're going to be working on putting a new ballot measure together, so stay tuned. We'll hear from Dennis Myers, who was in my office yesterday, with a coalition of leaders in California from business and the construction trades. All of us who want to see bright, beautiful classroom, energy efficient, with the right technology, the right science equipment, the right computer capacity into our schools. So that is one of the main goals we have in the next coming ahead days. We also want to say that there is an exciting challenge in front of us with the linked learning pilot projects and linked learning programs like we just saw here in the video, and the implementation of the Common Core standards, which forces us to start thinking about how you link mathematics and math and science and social studies all together. And so this is a nice challenge, and the teachers, by and large, up and down the state, I'm hearing, are excited about it. Instead of having standards that are a mile wide and an inch deep, it's digging deeper, diving down deeper into specific subject matters, and really using critical thinking, problem solving, good communication skills, the kind of teamwork that we talk about that employers want to see for graduates from our schools coming to their businesses, and what our colleges want to see. By the way, we just announced that I've moved California to join the P21 states. It's a coalition of about 20 states throughout the United States that are partnering up with business to try to align what we're doing in our schools with some of the career opportunities that are out there, and also, again, to work on these 21st century skills. So I'm really excited about this, but it's going to be a challenge. I'm working in the state budget process to see if we can't get an allocation of some money to help the transition, to help the professional development. I know you as board members and superintendents out here have been really struggling, working, trying to stretch the dollars, right, to get the professional development, to get the equipment that we need. Important date to remember, and I'm saying we should stick to that date because it helps us all marshal our energy and resources to make it happen as smoothly as possible. I want to liken what we are doing with the change, really the biggest transformational change in the way we teach in maybe 50 to 100 years. I liken it to a remodeling project. How many of you have ever gone through a remodeling project or talked to someone who lost a lot of hair tearing it out during a remodeling project? I think the analogy rings true here. There's an incredible vision. You start off like an architect's renderings of the things we want California's children to know and to be able to do. And we're not standing, we're not going to be starting from a vacant lot or a bare foundation. California wisely adopted back in 1997 some of the most rigorous academic standards in the nation. So we have that as a foundation. But the change is significant and it's not insurmountable. Like any remodeling project, the tough part is navigating around the stacks of building materials and living with the dust and debris while the work is going on. And that's where we are in California. The important date that I was going to set out is spring 2015 is when we want to begin the new assessment process based on the computer adaptive testing, based on the kind of knowledge that's not just bubble tests. We had enough of just straight bubble tests, memorize, regurgitate on the bubble tests in terms of information. What about more critical thinking and problem solving and writing skills as part of what we assess our students in terms of defining their success? What do you think about that? Yes. Yes, bubble test. Life is not a bubble test. Simultaneously, we're moving ahead in education technology. Part of what we need to take the computer adaptive testing assessment system. But more importantly, it's really kind of incredible, rich learning that goes on when you connect to the internet and have whiteboards that allow teachers to be very creative in how they present their lesson plans. We have a ways to go. I have the initiative, it's called No Child Left Offline. No Child Left Offline. We've got to get our kids connected. They're connected in their Blackberries and their iPhones, but we need it connected in a richer way. So I'll have a homework assignment for us all. I'll be sending a bulletin out to all the superintendents and school boards in the state asking for help with E-Rate. E-Rate is a federal funding program. I just was back in Washington for a week, meeting with about 10 members of Congress and Senator Harkin, education chair in the U.S. Senate, and we really need some federal money to close the digital divide so that low-income students, if the class is doing digital learning during the day with these navigational learning programs that individually help a student know where they're at and what they need to get to be skilled at next. If we have digital learning going on during the day, but the students don't have access to it at home, we create an issue, an opportunity issue, and a fair and equal treatment issue. So stay tuned for solutions on that. I'm going to ask your help. Senator John Rockefeller, the U.S. Senate, is spearheading the movement on the Senate side, and Congressman Mike Honda is spearheading the movement on the House side. And we need that extra money to get the broadband with. The vision is we can get antennas, we can get sort of Wi-Fi around the school, the Y-way approach, and then enable at very low cost our students to hook up, and their parents to hook up. Their parents may be wanting to learn English, their parents may be wanting to follow the teacher's guide of how the parent can help the students. And with the parents connected to the internet along with the students, we're going to have marvelous results. By the way, this is one other reason I'm fighting for, working for, together with many of you in this room, for a statewide bond measure so we can match the money that you've invested, your voters have said yes to taxing themselves, but the state bond program is empty. We need to refill it. Are we ready to refill it? We've got to get together and do that. And part of this is that we can bring into our classrooms that connection to the internet. That's part of what we can put into our bond measures. We can bring in the new science labs, the new science equipment. that we need in our schools so our students will be better prepared for the workforce in those areas where there's a very high demand. So other reports are coming out. I'll stop very soon so you can ask questions. We are pleased that the task force has put together very robust plans for working on STEM education and CTE. I believe we need to have, as Senator Gerald Steinberg has recently underscored in his legislation he's put forward, we need to have choices for our students. And not all students are ready to go to college, but they have great intelligence, they have great skills, and we want to keep them connected to their learning and have their hopes and their dreams connected to our schools. And so that's something that we'll be working more on, is how do we get those linked learning opportunities and career technical education opportunities. Just want to check, is Joe Macias here? There's Joe Macias. Joe, you want to build some things? You want to say everybody yes? Just one example of a leader in the labor movement from the UA. We really appreciate your leadership. We want to get our people back to work and constructing these schools and making these investments come true, and we want to build the opportunity stronger for our kids. I'll just end by saying I'm very pleased. I know that we believe in our students. You've worked hard. I had the nice opportunity recently, and some of you as teachers have had this opportunity. 2 weeks ago, I was running around a lake area where I go off and try to get some exercise and clear my head, and I literally almost ran into Alex Hernandez, who was a student of mine about 12 years ago. And he was on his run, and I was just pleased to connect to him and hear good news from Alex Hernandez. He was taking the work that we'd begun on the Antioch High School track and made his own fitness and health a priority for his lifetime. And he thanked me, and then he said that he and his 3 brothers were all successful now, well-employed, had started families. But isn't that fun when you run into a student that you've helped along the way, to guide along the way? And I think that's what we are all about here today. What we do as educators and as mentors really matters. It matters to the kids we are reaching and teaching. It matters to their families, to their communities. After all, they are our students now, but soon, tomorrow, right away, they are the architects, the doctors, the teamsters, the teachers, the builders, the skilled craftsmen, the technicians, the mothers and fathers, the elected leaders of the future of California. I do believe we're on a path. I'm optimistic about the path to a smarter, stronger California. I want to again thank all of you for what you do to make these dreams come true, to be part of the team. Your valiant work and the work of all the teachers of California, the classified administrators together, we're moving ahead. And I believe that when you combine high hopes and high expectations with California's creativity and California commitment, we're unstoppable. And we're going to meet those dreams for the kids of California. Thank you very much.
We're going to have questions and answers, but we're going to only take about 3 questions. And so we're going to treat this as though this is a shared meeting. If your question is not germane to this topic, just tell us how to answer it. So 3 questions. That microphone or this microphone?
Here's a great one. How are you doing? From Bassett? I had the pleasure of visiting Bassett High School. I saw students doing incredible things with technology with their iPads, a virtual frog dissection. You don't have to have the formaldehyde frog. And some of you might know the frog dissection. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about your take on the local control friendly formula. It's scary to me.
I mentioned it briefly, but I'll dive into it a little bit deeper. I do believe the governor correct to begin the debate and boldly set out a fact for Californians to consider, that our kids who come from poverty need more help to catch up. If they haven't had a quality child care experience or a quality preschool experience, they're going to be behind by a year to 18 months, maybe even 2 years when they get into kindergarten. And then if they're behind there and they don't get proficient in reading by 3rd grade, then they start to fall behind when reading becomes not just reading stories in school book stories, but when it's part of science and it's part of social studies, then they're frustrated in each subject matter. So I believe it's right to have this debate. We need to invest more money. When I authored the CLEA Act, the Quality Education Improvement Act, that $3 billion that Mackay mentioned, I targeted it to the lower deciles of schools and the 500 schools of greatest need. And I also authored the After School Program in California. It's now in 4,500 classes, schools in the state. And we target the lower 2 deciles. So targeting is a good idea, and it's also important for English learners to have that additional help, because we know that if they don't have that help and they get behind in their studies because the language is not as proficient as it should be, then they become potential candidates for dropping out and going into the trouble that we know can happen when you drop out to drugs, gangs, and jail. So I want to say I support that vision of the governor for a more fair, equitable, and certainly a more transparent system. But at the same time, when we went to the voters on Prop 30, we said that Prop 30 would be an investment and all votes would rise with that investment, that all districts would realize the benefit of the voters voting that additional $7 billion. So that's where I do believe we need to figure out if it's taking money from Peter to pay Paul, and some districts then have to make cuts while other districts get more money. We need to really figure this out. And I don't have the answers yet, and I'm going to work with the governor, I'm going to work with the legislature. I know they're struggling, because if you hold everything even, and you have a cost of living increase, and you have, supply increase, and you need to buy computers, and you need to, well, then you're going to have to cut. And so I don't want to see school districts having to cut as a consequence of any reformulation of the school funding formula. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Torlakson, I saw you talk about iPads and technology. The Green Act states the village in the last 30 to 50 years and no equipment is to be bought that will last less than 10, the school construction bond. We have many school districts in this state buying iPads with what I call a crazy bond. We don't start to pay them back for 20 years. It can mean you pay back 20 to 1. You got LA Unified ready to illegally take $50 million in school construction bond money and put it into iPads. I'm wondering why is this being allowed? And I know it's been brought up legally and they've been told not to do it, and everybody's still doing it. So this is, to me, insane to spend something that will last 3 years and finance it for 30. So I'd like to know your opinion on that.
Well, thank you for the question. I did say that our bonds, both the statewide bonds and the local bonds, should address getting technology. And it's not just about internet-connected devices, which do have a shorter life. Although, the way it is, I can see schools hanging on to them for more than 5 years. There is some debate in the law on the legal side of it, but in district after district that has made these local bond investment programs, taken them to their voters and put a technology piece into it. They've had sign-off from